Okay. Okay, we're live. All right, here we go. Testing, testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn you can get a better crib at IKEA than you can in Columbus, Ohio.
3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I am one of your hosts, Scott Jones. Joining me as always, Mr. Paul Packler. Paul, how's it going?
I'm great. I have had my entire reality pulled out from under me with this episode.
It's hard. It's hard to.
Yeah.
You know what? I felt shame after it was over for the last 3 seasons of putting the others down.
Yeah, I'm with
And
you,
I thought to
Corey.
myself, I truly hope that secretly Teeny Others listens to the three of us idiots talk about her television shows that she did 30 years ago and realize that we came around. We may be a little late on this one, but we came around to her.
Teeny Others, we are issuing you a formal apology.
Absolutely.
No. I don't think we have reason to apologize. Like we said before,
You deserve it.
it's not that
Okay.
she. No. It wasn't an unduly attacking. It
Mm.
was saying in those episodes they either wrote her wrong or she wasn't
Right.
talented enough a comedic actor to pull off what they wanted to do. And
Right.
that dovetails with what happens in this episode.
Absolutely.
Okay, I take it back. Teeny Others, we are not
Because a lot of times
apologizing.
we always gave caveats of being like, it's not her fault, it's not her fault. So it's not that we were always shitting on her.
You're right. Absolutely. And we'll get to it, but while this episode is I found it very strange and weird with some of the bits, yes, she does an amazing job, especially in the final scene.
Mhm.
So let's jump into it. Guys, if you're playing at home, we are on Season 3, Episode 4, entitled Love Thy Neighbor. Beats the hell out of me why it's titled that.
Yeah, that's very weird.
It's a
I guess
really lame
because
title.
Jennifer has a crush on the boy who used to be their neighbor.
Yeah. And I want to explore that. Well, I want to get into that relationship too.
Oh,
'Cause I was trying to do the math on
here we go.
friendship.
My theory on this is if your very fundamental idea of the episode doesn't work, the episode crumbles like a house of cards. And this episode very much falls into that possibility that they sort of pull themselves out of it the last second. But this very fundamental idea that, okay, it was 5 years ago they lived next door to each other. She's 11, he's 17, which means 5 years ago Jennifer was 6 and he was 12.
Right.
Now, you're a parent, I'm a parent. I ask us, wouldn't you think it was strange if your 6-year-old girl was hanging out and playing with a 12-year-old boy? That's
Absolutely.
and I would put my foot down and I wouldn't permit it. I'm sure he was a great kid. There's something strange about a 12-year-old boy wanting to hang around with a 6-year-old girl.
Absolutely. It was just, and that's what made this whole episode just feel extremely weird to me
It
and
was
slightly
weird.
uncomfortable.
And I think they sort of jammed their idea in to try and make this work with sort of the bait and switch of, oh, it's not Jen he's interested in, it's Mallory he's interested in, to get to the crux of the episode. And I understand what they did. I think there was probably an easier way to do it than what they did, because what they did made no sense.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely. It made absolutely no sense. But we'll jump into all that. We start off in the living room, and Alex is sitting on the couch. Steven comes down with a big box of baby stuff. He's taking inventory on all the baby supplies, so they need to know if they need to buy anything for the new baby on the way. He pulls out a little mobile that they used to use on Alex, and it's filled with dollar signs, and it plays the stock market.
Yeah.
And while
a little interesting thing is the second stock that they recite is Centram down 14. Isn't Centram where Uncle Ned worked?
Yes,
I
it
think
was.
you're. Oh my
Yes.
God, Paul! What a catch! That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. Uncle Ned Uncle Ned is still tanking Centram. I love it.
Yeah.
They still haven't been able to crack into that computer and get the code so that he can get the money. And while this bit I found really ridiculous.
Wait a second, you guys. I think we have a live. Either someone's watching us live or something.
We have a live viewer?
Yeah, this is from last episode. They tweeted at us. Dana R. Singh said it's actually Leland Stanford or John Harvard.
Oh,
Wow! Boom! Wow!
So if you're listening to last episode, or you're listening to this episode, last episode we were wrong and we're stupid. So
I love our viewers are correcting us.
yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now you see the amount of research that goes into these episodes. That's
It used
awesome.
to be more. It used to be a lot more.
I'm
Yeah.
firing our intern.
That intern position is still open. We want you to know. And I think what was the Twitter handle, Paul?
It is at Dana R. Singh.
Dana R. Singh, you would make.
Oh, Scott, we just lost you. What'd you say?
Oh, I said Dana R. Singh, please write us. You would make an excellent intern if you have the time.
But-
Indeed.
But do you mind charting the usage of orange juice? That's all we're interested in.
Yeah.
Orange
We want to make
juice.
sure you don't. It's very acidic. Don't get a lot of. We want to make sure you don't get it also.
That is my big regret, that I didn't write down all the instances of orange juice and how they scanned across the seasons.
We need a chart of that.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, while this bit of the mobile is a little is really ridiculous, Michael J. Fox commits to it so perfectly.
Oh, when he gets
Like, he just looks so.
he comes up.
Yes.
I thought it was really
It
cute.
was really funny.
Very physically funny. He does it right away.
Mm-hmm.
He does, and he looks so happy and content. Like, it was really good. Okay, and so Mallory's coming in. She's delivering food upstairs to a very pregnant Elise that we will never see in this episode. She is just represented by a bell ringing or a foot stomping.
Right. That's a thing
yeah.
that happens in season 3. That eventually they bring on Gina Davis to sort of fill a motherly role.
Mm-hmm.
But like for at least like half a dozen episodes, we lose Meredith Baxter because of the children that she's at the time having.
Right. She's on like a maternity leave. Yeah.
Right.
Or yeah. So Mallory's delivering food up there. We just hear the bell ringing. At least the bit throughout the whole episode is that Elise is very, very hungry and can't stop eating. And Jennifer comes in and she's very excited about her next door neighbor Scott, who we never ever heard about, is coming back into town, and she's excited because they're going to relive some of the old times of playing sports and hanging out.
Hey, remember that time we kicked a soccer ball? Yeah, remember that time we hit a baseball?
Yeah, remember I was 6 and you were 12. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just already this episode felt strange because we've never heard about this kid, and immediately I was like doing the age difference, and it was just okay. This is weird. And so Scott comes over, and Mallory opens the door, and Scott is mesmerized by Mallory.
I thought
really
we'd have
could
to
give
put
two.
a bib on him. I thought he was going to drool on Mallory.
Yeah. He's like, huh, Mallory.
Like panting. Like, you grown up.
Yeah. And he's like that the entire episode.
Yeah.
Mallory's in this picture. Look, there's Mallory's foot in this picture. It's so creepy.
Mm-hmm.
He
He looks like the actor looks like a tall Michael J. Fox. He has the same feathered hair, and he's wearing a sweater vest.
I wrote down that he reminded me of Jeff and every other male that they've cast in the show.
Yeah.
You know, there was another boyfriend that sort of kind of looked like this. It was just, they all have this very soft sort of hair that sort of hangs down. Maybe that was fashionable for the time.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the name of the kid, the heartthrob in the 70s who became a big director with the piercing blue eyes? What was, like Robbie Williams or something?
Oh, Robbie Benson.
Robbie Benson. They all seem like JV Robbie Bensons, everyone they bring in.
Wannabes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and then Jennifer offers, like, of all the sports she wants to play with Scott, she says Greco-Roman wrestling. There's a red flag right there.
That was real. I was like, again, okay, now I feel really uncomfortable watching this episode. It was just, yeah.
I didn't do the research, but isn't that where they would get naked, lather themselves up in oil, and wrestle?
I don't know, but can you tell me that story real slow one more time?
Again, these are questions our intern will be coming up with an answer.
Yes.
Okay? This is the kind of stuff we're going to be putting you on.
Lots of research into Greco-Roman wrestling.
Did they grease up? Were they naked?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so weird. Okay. We go to the kitchen. Alex is cooking. He's in a chef hat, and he has a full apron on. He's been cooking Alex pasta, his own invention, and he is peppy. This is the peppiest I've seen Alex. He is so happy in that kitchen.
What is the problem they have when they stick one of these people in the kitchen, and it has to become a kitchen shtick of some sort? Can't people just cook? Why do they have to be bad cooks or over-the-top cooks? Just cook.
Messy cooks, yeah. He's got like pasta sauce all over him, and he's using an Italian accent.
That apron has so much sauce, and he's using an offensive. Well, that's a spicy meatball. Let's talk like this.
What are you talking about?
What's going on? It's like, this is the time that we were alive, and they are so racist again, or not racist, but just like really stereotyping Italian people. What? This is the 80s. What's going on? This isn't, The Godfather in the 30s.
Right.
Alex even had that line about that women should be kept barefoot and pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
Which the audience reaction to that was awesome. Like they were like,
it was a weird moment because it was like, it was weird because you could like sort of infer the politics of what they were doing, where like he says it, there's a big groan from the audience, and then it cuts from him to Mallory, who rolls her eyes. Yep. Then it cuts to Steven, who does like a physical take of like, and it's just funny, like how much time they devoted to showing that was not a correct thing to say. I thought that was really weird and interesting.
Yeah. I wonder if they expected that, like. Because it was live, I wonder if they, in the moment, had to deal with the audience reaction.
They devoted so much time to pointing out that it was a bad thing to say. Like, whether or not, like, when they edited the episode, they were like, we have to have 2 different takes showing that it's bad.
Right.
It's like what they do with cigarettes now, or for the past 20 years.
Yeah. And Scott's comes over, and he's talking to Alex. Alex asked him about he's got an interview at the college, and Alex starts talking about like he's a big deal at the college, and he says his name.
He's a legend. Last episode was his first day there.
Just started there.
7 days ago, it was his first day, and he almost quit. Now he's a legend a week later?
Yeah. This episode just I felt like I was in some warped reality of what was happening. Like nothing made sense or added up.
I thought the writers all had their fingers crossed. Like, please don't let anybody be paying attention to this.
Yeah,
God forbid.
Exactly. It was like, yeah.
I just said, God forbid there should be 3 guys 30 years from now sitting around analyzing these episodes.
Hey, what, guys? Joke's on you.
Yeah, we nailed your asses to the wall.
That's right.
And that's the thing. Like, it became much more fashionable in the past 15 or so years for sitcoms, or even 20 years, for sitcoms to be much more serial in their dynamic. Like, sitcoms are famously something that you can show out of order, and they're made that they can be watched without foreknowledge. But in Family Ties, what we're noticing with Family Ties is that it's like they're actively flying in the face of stuff they've said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Absolutely.
They have no contradicting themselves.
Yeah, I'm not expecting like War and Peace or some long-standing soap opera, but it's just weird that they're so not.
Giving a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like little things like this can slide under the radar. And so Scott is obsessed with if Mallory's seeing a boyfriend, all he can talk about is Mallory. And Alex doesn't take the hint. They sit down.
It's a funny line. He gives a funny line where Scott's like, "Oh, she's 17 now, right?" And Alex goes, "Yeah, she's in her teens. I don't know."
Yeah, he doesn't know how old she is. Yeah, is she seeing anybody? Yeah, me every day. I can't, can't deal with it. Corey, did you get my cough?
I did. I caught your cough.
Oh no!
Go
to the doctor, Corey.
So they sit down, and Jennifer comes in, Mallory comes in, they're sitting down. Jennifer's brought in like a box of old memories and stuff for them to look at, and Scott is weirdly obsessed with this picture that just has Mallory's foot in it. Mallory's foot is right in there. This brings up so many memories. It's creepy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how in a television episode, everybody can see what we're seeing, and yet nobody comments on the clear crush that Scott has on Mallory and the clear crush that Jennifer has on Scott. And both Alex and Steven are both very bright people, as is Mallory, and nobody's commenting on this. No one's saying, maybe we should get involved in this and mention somebody.
Yeah.
You can see where this is going to go for Jennifer, and it eventually goes there. It's very linear as to what happens here.
Yeah.
Nobody mentions it. No one wants to sort of, let me get in front of this one and try and help her out here so that it doesn't hurt as much.
Yeah. And as a storyteller, like for the writers, you don't want your audience to get in front of you. And that's like in episodes like this one, that's all that happens. Instead of calling something out and finding the interesting thing that happens afterward, they just they follow this track of thinking that you see coming from a mile away.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the scene, they're all eating. They finally have this moment to eat Alex's pasta Alex, and then Elise wants more food. They have just brought her up like a watermelon, and then they come down and it's like there's watermelon rinds and chicken bones.
And they're like exhausted, and I was like, oh my god.
It was a bit. It was another filler bit, and then, guess we gotta bring Mom more food.
It's like she's Jabba the Hutt up there. Like they have to keep feeding her, or like a plant in Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
Jesus. And so Jennifer asks Scott if he wants to go to the Indians game tomorrow, and she'll get tickets. And he says, yeah, sure. All right. And so we cut to the living room. Jennifer's calling about tickets. There's a bit about.
By the way, for those of you who don't know, I think this is a public service. You can just call a baseball stadium and have them hold tickets for you. They'll do that without money or a credit card or anything.
Right.
And if they don't, 35,000 extra seats that they're not drawing very well, they'll just hold tickets for you. They don't care.
Tickets, yeah.
Go up. We're not run professionally in any way. We'll have an idea for you.
Yeah,
wait, isn't that the whole plot? Isn't that the whole plot of Major League? Is that the Cleveland Indians suck?
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you said you're going to come. We trust that you'll come.
Sure.
We'll hold it for you.
What time do you want to start the game? We'll wait for you.
Yeah.
It's the World Series. It's the World Series. Can you hold a ticket for me?
Yeah, Indians versus Mariners. Okay, probably two not very good teams at that time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I'm not really sure why we're holding two tickets for anybody.
She gets off the phone and goes and sits and talks to Alex about something. We'll get to it in a second. I just want to point out that this episode is brought to you by the color blue.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Oh my
Everyone
God.
in this scene is wearing
It's
blue. There's a
blue.
blue lampshade. I don't know what's going on.
It's weird. It's really weird. Yeah. Yeah, they're talking about, like, what were they talking about? I don't even fucking remember.
Going to the game, baseball is
Yeah.
a sports, I don't know.
Yeah, it really isn't that problem. And Steven comes down with a crib. Him and Alex look over the instructions.
Could that bit have gone on longer?
Longer. Oh my God.
Oh my
It's
God!
like-
They're holding the instructions, and then they're gonna we go this way with the instructions.
Yeah.
One more turn because comedy comes in threes.
Yeah.
Then maybe we'll flip it over. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe we'll translate them. Oh, it's like really a long ass.
I hate to tell you guys, if they're not laughing the first time, they're not gonna.
Uh-huh.
The
I was noticing that the audience. It wasn't like the laugh was building. It wasn't like it was easy and the candy conveyor belt.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, they were definitely like, you can go now. Thank you. You've done your work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we got okay. It's an instruction joke. The instructions are complicated. We understand. Let's move on. And they're like, nope, we're gonna move this
No,
around.
we got it.
Yeah.
But if we turn it again one more time, that's gonna get the laughing.
Flip it over. I'll hand it to Alex. Alex will hand it to Steven.
And then they can't figure out, so their solution is, let's go up to my pregnant wife and have her look over it. Well, she can't do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she's an architect. She understands these things. She knows what her instructions are.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
She can build things.
Yeah.
Even though
And
she's
so-
not a construction worker. She's an architect. They can't.
She can look. Yeah, she can explain it at least.
Mm-hmm.
Scott comes over. Mallory answers the door. She asks him how the interview went. He feels like it went well. And then Jennifer is coming around the corner, excited that Scott's here and going to the Indians game. And she hears Scott say, "Hey," to Mallory, "Hey, you want to go get some food? Let's go to Guido's." And they leave, ditching Jennifer.
Now, the way that dialogue goes, where he's like, hey, you want to catch dinner at Guido's? And she's like, yep. And then they go. That is the sound of two teenagers saying, hey, do you want to fuck in the car? And then they go, yeah. And then they go fuck in the car. Like,
Yeah.
there was no time thought. It was just like,
bam, go.
I'm teeming with hormones. Hormones. So am I. Let's go.
Go. Yep.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were out of there so damn fast. Jennifer's head was spinning in that last shot.
Yeah.
It was the complete opposite of the directions bit. It was
Absolutely.
fast. Yeah.
Like boom, boom, boom. They're out and blackout. End of action.
Right, go. And with that, why don't we take a commercial break?
Let's take a commercial break. We'll be right back. And we're back.
Yeah, and we're in the kitchen, and Jennifer is upset that Scott has ditched her. And who does she talk to but her brother Alex?
So during this scene, did it occur to either of you? And I know I'm a very sick and twisted individual. I understand that. But did it occur? Did it seem like Jennifer was pushing her small breasts out constantly during the scene, like trying, what's wrong, Alex? Hey, Alex, what's wrong?
Oh,
She was like pushing her little forming, budding boobs out during the scene.
That's
And Alex was like, I'm a woman too. Look at me, I'm a woman.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't notice her doing that, but it becomes a very, like, the second half of the episode turns into exactly what you're saying. Like, now, instead of her wanting to hang out with Scott, it's her wanting to, like, make out with Scott.
yeah, now it's like a romantic thing.
And it seems to me, at this point in this first scene, it seems to be totally, and you know, this we were saying how Teeny Others is wonderful at the end of this act. It seems to be, to me, it seems like the train is about to go off of the rails. I think it's beginning, and then they get into the next scene in the restaurant, and it becomes so big and broad, and everybody's looking, and it looks like it's going even further off of the rails. And then somehow or another, they wrote a really nice last scene, and you know, Steven is almost always pulls these scenes out when he's such a good actor, Michael Gross, that he's able to really be the rock in these scenes and let the kid or his wife take over, because from this first, to go from the beginning where it just seems ridiculous, like I'm a woman too, Alex, aren't I a woman?
Right.
And to the end where it's sort of like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you're still my little girl, and that's okay, and it's all right now, and I know it's confusing, and I just thought it ended up being sort of sweet when it was ridiculous at first.
Totally.
Yeah, because the
Mhm.
Guido scene is completely ridiculous.
It's so silly, and yet I thought they made her look good. I thought her entrance looked good. It was sort of like, wow, look at her. She's all, they put her in they didn't put her in something silly. They put her in a dress that she conceivably could wear. The
Right.
heels were a little silly, and the hair
Yeah.
and the makeup was a little silly, but it looked like a little girl playing dress up, which is, I think, what they wanted.
Totally.
Right. It looked good. It was just the dialogue, like just how adult she's trying to act. That was a little creepy. Yeah.
That's what got creepy, yes. And
Yes.
here's my other thought. And it's confirmed in the next scene. The 11-year-old daughter left the house dressed up, wearing heels and makeup, and mommy, who's bedridden, and daddy, who's building a crib, didn't notice.
That's weird.
Parenting going on there. Big brother Alex didn't notice either. So how did she get out of the house and two Guidos?
How far is Guido's? Yeah.
And she doesn't get in trouble for that either. She's 11, and she went to a restaurant dressed up in makeup and got in trouble? I don't know. That seems weird.
That is weird. I didn't even think of that. The weirdness underlying that whole thing. But yeah, it's insane that she would get away with it.
And Steven even says to her in the next scene, "Where were you, honey?" And I went to Guido's. Okay, by yourself? I mean, they try and sort of cover their tracks a little bit with some questions, but nobody's getting in trouble, and I think that's kind of weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Discipline.
Yeah.
The problem with this episode is the way that they went about an interesting idea.
Mhm.
That when puberty happens, depending on where you are in the duration of puberty, of being at the end of it or in the middle of it, as it were, and at the beginning of it, and how children at different ages are so different than each other, are all very interesting ideas. But it feels like they're constantly, the writers, trying to make things happen that are just really bad or ill-conceived.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, the thing about puberty is it happens for all kids at different stages, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. So, it's like Logan has 13-year-old friends whose voices haven't changed, who aren't growing a beard, that don't have, pubes on their arms. So it's really sort of kind of weird. Some of them shoot up, and puberty just hits them really hard, and then other ones are like, they're 13, and some girls are waiting for their first period yet. It's just it happens differently.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's the whole premise of what Judy Blume wrote about. Are you there, Goddess Meet Margaret? That was a perfect book for young girls because all her friends were going through puberty and she hadn't yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, but let's get to this scene that we love. It's so good because we see that Tina Yothers has some really great dramatic chops. She's confused, she's upset, and like you were saying, Corey, Michael Gross is so good at being the rock and the foundation, so comforting. Because she's crying because she made a fool of herself at Guido's, embarrassed herself. And
what he does right, of course, is not judging her for doing it. He didn't. It would be the wrong time to get angry at her for leaving the house. So I understand that maybe that's not the right time because she's got a real issue right here.
Yeah.
When am I going to be the type of woman who could interest somebody like Scott?
Right.
Why is he
And then-
interested in Mallory, not me?
Yeah. And it was also nice having Mallory come in and talk to her too.
That was a nice little scene too, and she handled it great too in terms of, oh no, you didn't make a fool out of yourself. It was just fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and we're always going to be friends, and it's just we're at different stages right now. Our interests are different, but I'm still your friend and your sister. Yeah.
And again, in this episode, even earlier in earlier scenes, Mallory is not stupid. This is one of those moments when she's fine again.
Yes. She's not brain dead in this scene.
Exactly. And especially in this scene, she totally plays a different color than what Michael Gross is doing with regard to their relationships with Jennifer, and seeing that dynamic play out, the two different dynamics of Jennifer's relationship with each different character was amazing. I thought
It was.
Yes.
the way she was acting with Dad versus her sister and stuff, and there was a vulnerability that Tina Yothers was exhibiting, and in the line delivery, in the way that she was expressing herself, that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Never seen it. And she was believably vulnerable to a point where it sort of touched me. I felt sort of like, oh, I sort of feel bad for her. That's a very awkward situation that she's in. And I get it, you know. And those 11 and 12-year-olds, those are the ones who want to go and see an R-rated movie, and then they want to come home and they want to cuddle up with their Elsa from Frozen doll.
Right.
It's two different sides there of, you know, yeah, I like boys, I have a crush on him. When I come home, I want to play with my dolls still.
Right. Okay.
And you could just see how confused she was. That's what I love. She really conveyed just, I don't get this. What's going on?
It was some of the best acting of anyone on Family Ties so far.
Absolutely. Which is crazy for us to be saying that.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to throw in, I believe Mallory also gets in one of my favorite jokes in this little exchange about I'm the biggest. I was the biggest jerk in that restaurant, and then she said, "Come on, Jennifer, in this family, you're not even the biggest jerk in this house."
Referring to Alex, yeah.
And I thought that was easy, and yet you had to do it. My God, Mallory, even Alex isn't even. Go ahead, slam him.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I also like Steven's excuse to leave the room was, well, I'm gonna go get a big handful of trail mix. Trail mix.
Come from.
That was
so random.
That was one of the best terrible, because you know Family Ties is famous for people leaving the room in order that people talk.
Yes, just
that was the best.
That was the best worst one.
Yeah.
And of course the episode ends in referring to our little tag at the beginning here. Mallory and Jennifer pretend like the baby's in the crib and everything because they might have a little sister that's going to go through the same thing. They put the baby in the baby doll in the crib, and the crib collapses.
And you knew that crib was going to collapse from the fact that there was nuts and bolts in their hands.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, well, guys, anything else?
That's it. Honestly, again, like we said with the last scene in the last episode, check that out because it's really good. Check out this last scene. It's really good.
Please check it out. Please check it out. It really is surprising how great Tina Yothers.
Well, you know,
I hope they give her more moments like that.
You said something earlier about how do you feel about this third season. I find it wildly inconsistent that there are even episode. There are moments that are really good, but they haven't put it all together yet for for one episode that rocks our world.
Yep, I agree.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah. Well, for questions and comments and the possibility of being our intern, please write us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. And for updates, please follow us on Twitter at QTWFT. And you can also follow each of us on Twitter. I'm at Follow Jones.
I'm at Paul Packler.
And I'm at Corpep.
And be sure to like our Facebook page. We like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanboy Comics. Fanboy Comics is an online conglomerate of geek media, providing its readers with daily insight and reviews into the pop culture spectrum. We also like to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs the theme song Without Us. Be sure to check out Perry's music at perryadams.net. We also like to thank Bryant Dillon. Bryant is the president of Fanboy Comics and also edits our show. And lastly, Sean Foster, Fanboy Comics graphic designer, who also designed our logo. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.